Well,
Did you count enough seconds then?
I think I did.
You think you did, because you told me off a few times.
Sometimes when we go to the break, we've got the clackerboard happening in front of the camera,
Yes.
and it messes it around. But anyway, coaching the person, coaching the business, but you do have a person in business. It's interesting, I've heard you mention this a few times, that yes, you may be a business owner, but you're actually a person who's in a business.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is really fun, because helping them see the dynamic of that which is business and that which is them, and connecting the dots for them. So why do we have a business plan? It's a business principle, but it's for you as a business person to know where you are going. So your mission, your vision, your values, your strategy, your implementation, your goals, and then your implementation.
Yeah.
So that's a business principle. It's good to have, and you might leave it in the bottom drawer, which is not going to be no good to you. So as a person in business, what is it that I need to be engaged in? What is my responsibilities? Oftentimes it's not that complex. Your job is to lead and give your roles away to your staff, to your suppliers, to your stakeholders. Give your stuff away. So what you do is, you know, the less that you do is the most significant parts of the elements. And I find in SMEs, oftentimes the best sales rep is the business owner.
Yeah.
And yet they stall in growth because they get sucked into doing the marketing, or answering the telephone, or doing the emails, or writing the bulletins, the messy stuff of the business, which are important things to do, but we can either outsource them or we can employ to them. And I often will encourage business owners to understand their strengths in the operation of the business. So sometimes it's the sales, sometimes it really is the process dynamic. So one of my guys was in the food industry, and what we were doing was working through what they call levels of audit. And there's 3 levels of audit, so you can actually eventually sell to airlines your food. And that's where he was at. He was at the 3rd level of audit, and doing all the processes that he needed to actually qualify to do that. And he was doing that because it was part of his exit strategy. So it was a part of a value add that he had in the business, that this business is capable of supplying food to the airline industry, which it was beginning to do. And initial contracts were taking place, and it was so much fun. So he asked the question, why did he need to do process? So we worked on that, and he was very good at it. Really good at detail. So it's understanding where your strengths lie as the person and the business principles, and connecting it and owning the dynamics of the business that you are really good at. Owning that, doing that, firing that, because that's an energy issue. Where you get the most energy and you're most fruitful is another way to explain that.
I think that's a really interesting thing you've said, because I think a lot of business owners would struggle with that, because we get into business as normally one-man bands if you start it yourself. So you tend to do everything. And maybe over the time you do lose the bit that you are really good at, because you start doing everything else. It's really interesting you pointed that out, to actually look at what you're actually good at. I mean, you could be the architect, you could be the process soldier, you could be the salesperson. You may just be, I know your boys both have a building
Yes, they do,
company,
yes.
and I bet both have got...
Oh, they've got different... One runs the office and the other one runs the teams. And they love it. They just release each other and just have so much fun. And
I bet they wouldn't want to swap roles.
Oh, they couldn't.
No,
they couldn't.
No.
Because the one who's in the office, he's not the tradie that's grown through. He really is the admin guy. That's what he was, a CA project manager. That's his experience.
That's his skills.
Absolutely. And he's very good at that. Now, my other son could do that, but not quite as well as his brother does.
His skill is keeping the teams together.
He on my house, he saw the foam cladding that we're using, and he saw that it was up 25 mil rather than 5 mil. He saw that. And he knew that the boys should have seen it. So the first couple of panels went on. He was there looking at the building. He said, what are you doing? Can't you see what I see? Of course they can't. That's the importance of what you do as a business owner who understands the business. your teams can't see what you see. And all you do is then just ask the question, which is what he did. Can you see what's happening here? They couldn't quite see. He said, guys, I think that measurement's 25 mil. He saw it with his eyes rather than 5 mil. What do you think? You're right. So zit, 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 pull the screws out, slide adjustment, zit, zit, zit. Back in, and then it lined everything else up for the whole building. Otherwise, it really would have been difficult for the renderers when they put the plaster on. There would have been too big of a gap. You know, and that's what you see in business. You see the principles. You're the person, and we've coached you. We've coached the business. Now we're connecting those two dynamics together. And the difference is you see everything, but you don't do everything. You ask a question. You do training. You upskill, you send people on courses, you get a coach to help you, coach your staff, which I do in organizations as well. So we're layering the staff and upskilling them. And it really is quite powerful and wonderful because you see everything, because you've grown the business. I remember asking a business colleague of mine, and he was working with a business, and he had this complex reporting system. And I said, how did you get there? He said, because don't steal my thunder. There wasn't one for you to answer. And so he said, John, which is what you just said, we started simple and we just added, as we went along, various different dynamics that we needed in the reporting. So it ended up being this complexity. We understand it, can read it, but it started very simple. And I love that principle, and I've done that over and over again with my clients. It doesn't matter where you start. Remember one of the sessions we did was, it's about asking a question, even if it's a poor one, ask the question. It's not about, complexity, it's about where you start. And as a business owner, because you see it, just start. That's what you do, and you do that with your staff. Just start and watch what will take place in and for them. And that's the fun part of then connecting the person and the business together. It's really fun.
We'll take a break because there's one last piece of the puzzle.
There is one last piece.
And yes, I was staying quiet towards the end, not answering any more rhetorical questions. I've just heard all these stories before. They're great.
No, you haven't.
But I know you star me. He's taught me heaps. Okay, we'll go to a break. We'll come back. We're going back to this last bit because I think we've gone through quite a bit, but you're getting to a stage now of when does the business actually become its own personal coaching business?
This is dynamic, really is.
So we'll come right back. Don't go anywhere.